Welcome back to Saughland Farm. We're here to do the second vlog series just to talk a bit about how our lambs have performed this year. On average, our lambs have been growing at 250 grams a day, which is going up year on year. I think it's gone up between about 50 and 100 grams over the past 4 years, which is great. We have had the odd year where it has dropped, but on average it's going the right way. The main things that have been impacting lamb growth rates are either worms or grassland management, I think. So an improvement on grassland management and better management of worms has been the two major factors increasing growth rates. Last year we did have a drop in growth rates. We were down 50 grams, which wasn't ideal. This was caused by a severe worm burden that hit us in the autumn. Over the course of 2 weeks there was a large hatch of roundworms. This then meant that lambs were heavily impacted and actually lost weight. The loss of 50 grams a day in terms of business was a huge loss. That'll be about 6 kilos on average these lambs could have lost. So it meant the difference between lambs going fat or lambs going store, which we ended up selling a lot of lambs store. Sort of learning from what happened, worms are ever changing and I think getting worse. I think a lot of this is to do with climate. We no longer can just depend on dosing lambs at certain times of year. We need to manage them a bit better. So basically we've implemented 2 strategies. One being we're weighing all the lambs every fortnight, and then the other being we're fortnightly worm counting as well. So it means we're seeing lambs at 2 points in a month, either with a worm count or a weight. So it lets us know before worms take a hold. When we're weighing our lambs regularly, we'll monitor it, and once a third of the group get below 200 grams a day, we will most likely go in with a dose because it means the worm burden is usually high. We have worked this out over years of fecal egg sampling. Probably worms is one of our biggest problems on the farm. We're very lucky that most of the wormers work. The only one we have issues with, which I think is very common, is the white wormer. We're still using this for nematodirus. We've decided how are we going to get rid of these worms. So now what we've done is we're implementing clean grazing systems using young grasses, and we're also looking at bringing arable into the mix and maybe putting some of our arable ground back into grass just to boost the clean grazing and reduce the worm burden on farm. The other main issue impacting lamb growth, I suppose, is purely probably the old thing that farmers often say is down to weather. I mean, one of the big things we had a couple of years ago, we had a drought which severely impacted the growth, but I suppose since then we've implemented trading stock into the business. So we do have cattle on the farm and we run store cattle. So whenever growth rates dip below what we need, we can offload store cattle, and this really prioritises the lamb and what's making us money. So right now we're into October. We currently have the ewes split up into a fat group and a lean group. The fat group are on some of the rougher ground, just getting not pushed as such, and the lean ones are really pushing on some of our best grass. The reason we do this is just so we can really prioritise grass for tupping time. We've found if we get the right amount of grass underfoot at tupping time, our scan will be where we want it to be. Whereas if we maybe overgraze now, keep lambs on too long, we'll then see a drop in scan. So regardless of the weather, we've had snowy weather, we've had horrible conditions, and if the grass is there, they tend to scan okay. This year we've actually had a great year on the ewe lambs front. The ewe lambs have run on young grass most of the year. They've already hit their target tupping weight of 43 kilos, and a lot of them are up near 50. This is also a fallback. We didn't need as many more ewe lambs, so we used to be keeping around 350 ewe lambs. We're now only needing 270. So our ewe longevity has actually increased as well, which is great. We used to be at a stage where we were really struggling to pick lambs we wanted and really select them hard, but now because our longevity of ewes has increased, we can really select exactly what we want and really fine-tune the sheep for what we need it to be.